Welcome to the Drag Me to the Movies podcast. I'm Ned.
And I'm Joe.
In this episode, we're going to discuss Tron from 2025, directed by Joachim Roning, and stars Jared Leto, Greta Lee, Jeff Bridges, Evan Peters, Joni Turner-Smith, Gillian Anderson, Hassan Minaj, and Arturo Castro. So, Joe, what did you think of Tron Ares?
So, Tron, we have been working our ways through the Tron films.
Correct.
Here on the podcast, and this brings us full circle of what's out there, right? This is everything.
As far as films go, there is a series that's on Disney Plus.
Oh, okay. All right. So as far as films, then this is it.
And there's also a short film.
Okay. But as far as this film goes, oh my Lord. Now I'm trying to talk here. Anyway, so this potentially is the last film, but makes it seem like there's a sequel on its way, based on how it ends. Man, I wasn't sure what to expect with this going into it. Like I wanted it to be good. I wanted to succeed, especially with how much I like the last Tron that we watched, Legacy.
Did you watch Legacy before this again, or no?
No, I didn't.
No, okay.
But it was still pretty fresh in my mind because we watched that maybe 5-6 months ago, something like that.
Yeah,
so
it
wasn't terribly long, but yeah. So I was happy to see Jeff Bridges show his face again in this, even though it was kind of a small part. I appreciate him and his dudism in this film. You know, we've watched a couple other movies with Jared Leto in them, and I think historically Jared Leto films usually get a bad rap for some reason. Like with Morbius, it didn't go over so well. We didn't think it was like a terrible film. And in this film, I don't think he did bad, for the part that he played. I thought he was fine. So let's start there. How did you feel about Jared Leto in this?
Overall, I felt he was fine. I didn't think he was doing anything mind-blowing here. He's kind of playing, a robot-like personality with some exposure to feelings, which I guess kind of works for him. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way with this. I don't think it was a standout performance, but I think it was fine. Like to your point, he was emotionless for most of it until he kind of gets his uniqueness, I guess, or his autonomy, from the system and everything. Like he becomes his own program, I suppose. Then he starts to show some emotion, but I think he was fine in this. Jeff Bridges again, like I said, was fine as well. Julian Dillinger, I thought was okay as kind of like the spoiled brat, character of the film, played by Evan Peters. I thought that was fine.
Yeah.
I don't know that he was necessarily like a threatening, antagonist at all. Like he was, I think, just more of a plot, part of the plot to keep things moving along.
He kind of played the spoiled brat. The
spoiled tech
do
bro,
my own,
right?
Yeah.
So he played his part just fine. I thought that the lady, is it Jodie Turner-Smith, who played Athena, was a great villain.
Yep.
She did a really good job at being like a heartless, ruthless AI or program, I guess.
Yep.
So I thought she was very good. The lady who played Eve, I'm trying to find her name in here. Greta Lee.
Yep.
I thought she was okay. I think she matched Jared Leto's chops in this. Like, wasn't in my mind a standout character or anything, but she did okay enough to pull the story forward. So all in all, I think the acting was fine in this, but not Oscar worthy or anything like that.
Yeah, there's no standout performance or anything.
Right. So as far as story goes, I think it's kind of cool that they build upon the whole legacy plot of scanning people in to the mainframe or whatever. But in this case, they're able to bring things out of the mainframe into real life. So I thought that was a pretty cool idea. I think the idea of them looking for Now you're gonna have to remind me what it was called. Was it the persistence something? What was the code they were looking for, Ned? Help me with that. Do
You
you remember what I'm
looking
talking
for
about?
the impermanence code?
Permanence code, thank you. I was saying consistencies code. Yeah, the permanence code. Um, like that's a cool idea that, they can bring things in, but it has an expiration. But they're looking for that code that, makes them able to stay. Like
Yeah.
I think that's a neat idea. Um,
It was
I like
yeah.
oh good.
No, I was just gonna say it was interesting. Like obviously they're playing with AI and 3D printing very heavily in this one.
Hmm.
Um, which I don't know, coming from the previous films where obviously someone could be taken from the real world, digitized, thrown into the grid, um, and vice versa, they come back out. So users are able to do that successfully. But you also have in Legacy, Cora comes out. She's an ISO, which
Mm.
is a little bit different from a program or AI. So I'm wondering if it's just like weaker programs have that limited lifespan where ISOs and users didn't need it.
Could
Or
be.
it's
I didn't think of that. That's a good point.
yeah.
Yeah, although that'll lead to another point that I have, but I'll bring it up now. Is that
Hmm.
there's a lot of plot hole technology based stuff that happens in this film that I find interesting. Um, there's like let's talk about Athena, right? So Athena is able to print herself, for instance,
Hmm.
right? Like before it's all command based and it's all like a button has to be pressed physically in this lobby for anything to, actuate from the lasers. But then suddenly she's able to print herself, you know, and keep printing herself. Like that's interesting that that's how they play that. There's the battle at the end, right, where she prints herself and then she prints that giant I don't know what it's called, but that giant like M looking machine that you see in all the Trons.
The
Um,
recognizer,
is that what it's called?
pretty sure.
Um, okay, so she prints one of those, and she's going through New York or wherever, whatever city they're in, trying to find Eve. And as slow as that thing moves, like somehow that wasn't quite 28 minutes. You know what I mean? Like that was kind of a convenience to that whole plot. Um, there's the whole thing of like Eve getting on the Tron bikes and able to navigate those pretty well. They do play it that she's not perfect at it, but able to start it up and move it and ride it successfully through traffic at high speeds. Like
Well, I
that's
mean, she was on a different bike herself, so transferable skill
agree.
set, you know?
Maybe. I mean, she went from all manual buttons and shifts and stuff to a touch screen interface where she's leaning forward, different wheels. Like I get it, it's possible, but some of that was a little interesting. Um, there's the whole idea of Flynn's computers from the 80s and how she's putting in what uh was that five and is it five and a quarter? Is that what the size floppy disk is? I haven't talked about those in forever. But the
I
giant floppy disk,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
The five and
She's
quarter one.
putting those in and she's able to find permanence code on one of those, like a five and a quarter floppy disk, like
I mean, it
held
doesn't have
barely
to
anything.
be like,
I
thousands of lines, you
I know,
know.
I'm just messing with you. Just little things like that, right? Like I picked up on that
Hey,
seemed a little
programmers were very
interesting.
efficient working with very little space
Were
back in
they?
those days. Yeah, they're writing
Maybe.
like assembly code, man.
That's fair. That's fair. Um, so I mean, so anyway, that was just some interesting things I thought I picked up through that. I will say, like the 3D printing aspect, you brought that up. Like I like that they were printing organic material with supports, like
Hmm.
you would with a 3D printer today. Like I thought that was kind of a neat touch.
Yeah.
And how that worked out. I found it interesting as well with when the programs degraded, like they screamed in pain. Like that was kind of horrific,
Hmm.
but it was kind of a nice touch. I thought that was kind of cool. Um, so yeah, all in
Well,
all, that
they're
was a
expendable
cool
and
sub.
all.
Right, right. Which Ares finds that he doesn't want to be dispendable. So
Expendable.
uh expendables, thank you. Sorry, wrong word. Um yeah, so I think overall the premise of the film was fine. Like it was what you and I would call a popcorn flick, right?
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
a fun ride, nothing, monumental or
Uh,
groundbreaking, but
well, hold on. Hold on.
okay. All right. Well, tell me why, or do you want to hold on until till later to tell
Let's
me?
hold on. I'll let you finish your thoughts.
Okay. So then I get to what I think is probably the weakest part of this film is the music. I thought the music was terrible in this film, Ned.
Mm,
And I'm not a big fan of Nine Inch Nails, but I'm also not a hater of Nine Inch Nails. Like
hmm
I appreciate what, Trent Reznor's capable of. But there was a whole lot of what I could basically say are like electronic bings and bongs that happened in this film over and over. Like it just like almost felt like somebody bashing like a synthesizer keyboard at like dramatic times. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like the music that gets used in Stranger Things at times. Um, and how it's just like I mean, I'm not a musician as far as that part, like as far as like melody and stuff goes, so I'm not gonna describe this well, but it's a lot of just like crescendo, like hammering on the keyboard and then hammering on the keyboard again kind of things. And like at some points that was cool, but like I feel like the whole film, I wouldn't say the whole film, 70% of that film had that to it. And it kind of got annoying to me at times. Like it felt like it was almost drowning out what was going on in the scenes sometimes. Um Now that being said, when there's actual like music with Trent Reznor singing and stuff, I thought that was all right. Like I thought that was cool. But when it got into that like real like 80s synth vibe feel, that I feel like that really kind of detracted from the film.
mm.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think you and I have touched upon this with the podcast before, where um, the first time I went to go see this, it kind of felt like some of the music was very repetitive to me.
Mhm.
Um, this time around, I don't know if it's because, like, at that time I first saw it, I was listening to the soundtrack a lot before and after the movie, because the soundtrack
Okay.
is good, but as I was watching the movie, there's parts where it felt like they kept using the same riff and it kind of got repetitive. I haven't been
Right.
listening to the soundtrack, and it was a much better experience this time around for me. And I am a fan of Nine Inch Nails and kind of some of the different music that's worked into this movie. I appreciate. So overall,
Okay.
I found the music to be very good. I don't think I liked it nearly as much as Daft Punk and what they did with Legacy, but
Right.
Nine Inch Nails, I felt did and it fit for this movie. Um, if they do a sequel, I'd be curious what direction they go with it.
Yeah. That's fair. Um so you listened to the soundtrack before you saw the movie?
Yeah, because I didn't get the chance to see it right away when it first dropped, and the soundtrack dropped like essentially, I think, a week or two before, or even the day of. So I had time to
Okay.
listen to it before I went to go see the movie. And they did
Gotcha.
release "Give Me Something to Believe In," whatever the name of that track is, prior to the actual, like, that was dropped as a single first, and I really enjoy that song. So I was pretty much
Okay.
listening to that on repeat for a while.
Okay. No, that's fair. All right. So let me touch on a few more things and then I'll let you open your floodgates of secrets that you're hanging on to.
They don't. There's no floodgates, and they're not secret.
Hold your secrets, Ned. So where I think this movie shines a lot is in the action scenes. I
Mm-hmm.
think they're pretty cool. So I know I talked a little bit about like Eve conveniently being good at riding motorcycles, or the Tron cycles, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think the whole city chase is pretty cool. Um, how they're using the Tron bikes to split cars in half, also to create basically barriers. For vehicles to have to like swing around, and
Like
also
the
for eat.
airplanes and stuff going through the ribbon lights.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Like I think that's pretty cool how they used those, the red
Yeah.
lights in this film.
Yeah, even with
Um,
like the staffs and stuff and how they incorporated that into
right.
like hand-to-hand combat.
Agreed. So that was really cool. I thought the digitization of Eve was pretty cool. Like how when it was bringing her into the mainframe, how it like printed her like skeleton, her nervous system, her muscles, like
Hmm.
layered her in, and then she became digital. Like I thought that was pretty cool.
Right.
Um, I think it was cool as well with all of the callbacks they used to previous Trons. So like, I know we never really figured out what those were, but like the flying packet trains, I think that's what we thought they were in Legacy.
Right. Right.
There's things with like the big umbrellas on them that are on like the rails. I thought those were pretty cool. The flying machines and the motorcycles coming back was cool. I don't remember if we had these in the prior ones, but the motorboat that or I wouldn't say it's a motor, like a ski-doo or whatever you would call that Ares is on at one point.
Right.
Um, like that water trail behind it and how it glowed. I thought that was sick as hell.
Yeah,
Um,
that's pretty cool.
and yeah, the chase scene that happens with that as well, I thought was really well done. Um, I thought the fact that Flynn's computer that gets turned on and that Ares gets pulled into is still in that 80s vibe. I thought that was kind of cool that they
Hmm.
kept it like low polygon graphics and everything. That was a nice touch. Uh what else? The you already kind of mentioned it, but like those I don't know what you would call those little like little red like homing missiles that Athena sends out that,
Yeah.
kind of cages even at one point,
Hmm.
also like cages the jets into like the one jet gets its wings like captured in it so it can't move. It's just
Yep.
kind of being drug along.
Yep.
Like I thought that was a cool thing. Um just overall that was a really cool action scene as well. And then Ares fighting Athena and the cronies at the end. I
Hmm.
thought that was really well done too. Like I thought the choreography and everything was really well done.
Yeah, I thought it
Um
was interesting. Like for me, like the ribbon strips that were coming off of things, and with the planes and bikes and stuff, there's kind of like I don't know, almost like a permanence. Where as they use the staffs with them, they had like kind of like a I don't know 900 millisecond delay before it would like start to fade away. So like it would
right.
almost be like a actual ribbon that if you touch it, obviously you get cut up, but if you time it just well, you would miss it.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I think overall, like the way they interpret the technology, or I guess interpret slash invented the technology for this, I
Hmm.
thought it was really well thought out. Um,
Yeah, I really feel like
so
this one definitely took what Legacy did and really tried to build upon the visuals and come up with some new things. And overall, I feel
mhm,
that that was very successful.
right, right. Um, so yeah, I mean that's really my review. Is like I overall I thought this was a fun movie. Um, I don't know that it's better than Legacy in my mind, but I thought it was a nice modern attempt at it. So
Yeah. I mean, obviously for me, there was a large part of me that really wanted to see more of a continuation of what they did with Legacy. Um,
yeah,
which there's sprinkles of it here. And it ultimately, as you said, seems like they might be trying to set up for another movie down the line. Um, but I don't know. It could be end of line.
yeah, I'd be curious. All right,
Okay.
Ned, what secrets have you been holding?
I don't have secrets. They're just thoughts.
Tell me your secrets, Ned.
Obviously we know the first Tron that came out in 1982. Legacy
Hmm.
was 2010. Tron Ares was 2025. Um, we have this new version of Kevin Flynn who is in kind of like an old styled grid, which, if you remember, they had kind of taken Kevin Flynn's disc out at the end of Legacy, right?
Hmm.
So I'm questioning if Sam Flynn put his dad into that old machine separated from the other grids and networks, that he was kind of isolated, and that was the disc version of him on that.
Yeah, The way I interpreted that is that I don't think that was the Kevin Flynn.
Right,
I feel
right.
like that was like a shadow version of him that just existed on that mainframe.
Well, that's why I thought it was the disc that came out from Legacy, just
Okay.
implanted there. That was just a thought I had as I was watching it. Um, I mean, they did touch upon Sam. He was, running NCOM, which I kind of like this time around was like, okay, I know NCOM was there from the get go. You had NCOM in Legacy, and you had Edward Dillinger Jr. there, who, um, hold on, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I can't think of his name. The
Cillian
Peaky
Murphy?
Blinders guy. Yeah, Cillian Murphy played that version, which I was like, okay, that's almost wasted opportunity having him there, and I was really hoping to see him in Ares
Yeah,
in some
same.
way, but they ended up taking a different direction. Which, if he's Junior, that means that Elizabeth Dillinger is his sister, and she had Julian. So I was really kind of getting into the family tree here, and apparently around, I want to say shortly after the actual original Tron, around I guess 1990, I think, there is a Dillinger systems company that exists separate from NCOM. So Dillinger has their own company at that point, but Junior is working for NCOM. So you still have Dillinger systems operating, but the one son, Junior, is working for NCOM, and there is actually another like short film that was put out for Tron relation, aside from the actual series, which I'll circle back to that. But it was called Tron the Next Day. And the idea was that the next day where Sam goes in for that meeting that he asks for.
Mhm.
Um, and at that point, that also kind of goes through the history a little bit of NCOM and Dillinger Systems, talking about their competition and how NCOM is taking a new direction. Instead of doing games, they're going more corporate. Alan ends up admitting that, they call him Tron, which, he's the kind of embodiment of protecting the user, the, antivirus type character. And then it also talks about there's this thing in society where Flynn lives, and it's a bunch of people rallying around the fact that Flynn lives on, and they want the same type of things that he wanted. And then there's a guy that created a virus called Flynn Lives that kind of just pretty much booted up on people's computer and displayed Flynn Lives and reminding them that there's that effort out there. And then ultimately it comes back to Sam Flynn and what he has started to kind of kick off with things and running the business. And I thought it was interesting, but that's kind of where the whole Dillinger part comes into my mind, where I'm like, they really built off of that without really showing it to anyone in theaters. So I was kind of hoping like Ares would have maybe touched upon some of those things, even in the like little quick flash beginning pieces that kind of set up the competition a little bit more, because that's what this movie is essentially built on. You have the Dillinger company going against NCOM. Julian is really trying to like push his agenda and control everything. He's the military driven person. He's trying to take control, gain all the power, gain all the money. Where NCOM has kind of gone the opposite direction, where they're more humanitarian. They're trying to like cure cancer. They're trying to do good things with what they're capable of. So
Right.
I just kind of wish they would have done a little bit more with that before just diving into this, but it ended up working out. But that little 10-minute short film's not that long, and it has some interesting facts that you can pick up on. And then the series, which I don't know, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I think it's like 19 episodes. It's supposedly on Disney Plus, but I did read something where it was talking about how they tried to kind of expand it more than just Tron being Alan. Where he was in the original Tron. He was on the grid. He was in Tron Legacy, and he's on the grid, but under a different name because Clue had configured him differently. which he ended up redeeming himself at the end of the film. With
Right.
this series, they really tried to play upon the fact that Tron isn't a single entity, and that someone else can come in and represent Tron and fight for the humans, users, that type of thing. Which kind of leads me to the point where is Ares Tron?
Mm, that's a good question because I was going to ask you how you felt that there was really no representation of Tron in this film.
Yeah,
But that's an interesting take. If that's where they're going.
I'm curious. Like, that's after I did all that research, I was like, I wonder if that's what they were going for, but I just don't feel like there was enough stuff presented in the movies. And then they had the short film that probably not a lot of people saw, and then the series, which, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously the hardcore Tron fans probably made time to see it, but I feel like that's a lot of information that a lot of people going to see this movie don't have.
Well, I mean, the other side of this is they did end it with the possibility of another movie.
True.
So maybe that's when that pays off. Maybe they did that on purpose to leave it kind of open of, there is no Tron representation, but I mean, if you think about it, Ares is kind of putting himself in that position to be Tron.
True.
Um so maybe in this next we'll get that payoff.
Maybe. So I guess that leads me to a couple of questions I have for you. Would
Okay.
you want to see a sequel to this?
I would. I
You would?
would.
Okay.
Yep.
Just without Nine Inch Nails doing the music? Is that what I'm kind of picking up from you?
No, I wouldn't say without Nine Inch Nails. I just think they need to back off on the repetitive, like, keyboard smashing. Like, I think, like, that's the part that I didn't care for.
Mm,
Again, the
uh,
parts where, like, Trent Reznor was singing and stuff like that, the electronica music or whatever, I thought it
right.
was fine. Like, I was cool with that. It just there was a lot of, like, where there's typical, like, buildup of suspense or whatever of just that boom,
Mm-hmm.
like, noise in the background the whole time that just
Uh,
kinda killed
yeah.
it for me.
I guess to me, it almost felt like they were going for a blend of like what Nine Inch Nails sounds like meets what Daft Punk did, but they're very synthy. So I kind of expected that though.
Well, synth doesn't bother me. I think if anything, like, regardless of how it was presented, I think that would have annoyed me of just
Okay.
that, like, constant, like, loud, like, just single note being held over and over and over again. Because a lot of times it just felt like it drowned out what was happening on the screen at the time.
Right. Yeah.
So, but again, I don't know if I necessarily hold Nine Inch Nails against that because I feel like they wouldn't have just had free roam.
Right.
Somebody signed off on that. Um, but yeah, so I would not be against another Nine Inch Nails interpretation for this film
Okay.
or for the next film, I
So
should say.
I guess that leads me into my next question is, would you recommend this to others? Or if you would you add any caveats? Obviously, we know
Yeah,
our friend Warlock of Wi-Fi is not big on Tron.
yeah. So I watched this with a new friend of mine, and she had never seen any of the Trons before.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was happy with how the film was, but she was confused through the whole thing. And
Okay.
in hindsight, like, there's a lot of stuff of callbacks from other Trons that they don't explain in this film. So I would recommend this film, but I would recommend that they at least go back and watch Legacy first.
Mm-hmm.
I think Legacy presented itself well enough that it did enough, like, previously on Tron, since there was that, 30-year
Right. The
stretch
recap.
between.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like that would get you up enough to watch Ares and be sufficiently updated with what's going on.
Yeah.
Um,
I would tend to
I
agree with
think
that.
that
Yeah.
would yeah, I think that would be what my recommendation would be is start with like, if they're not like, "Man, I really need to see Tron, like, from start to beginning or start to end," I would say start with Legacy and then watch Ares.
Yeah. Nice. Very nice. All right. So yeah, the as I said, I'm just gonna echo pretty much what I said earlier in agreement. I feel like this movie, the standout performances, there aren't really any from the actors per se, but I really think the visuals are what you're watching this movie for.
Yeah.
That and if you enjoy that type of music, um, I feel like this is a very positive experience, and yeah, in general, I would recommend people check it out and form their own opinion.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Anything else you want to add, or you just want to score it?
I think I'm ready to score it.
All right. Would you like to go first?
Yeah. So with this film, I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5. Um, I thought I thought it was a good film. If I ever go back and watch the Tron films, like I'll include this one. I'm not gonna skip it. Out of the series. I thought it was a nice addition to the series.
Yeah, I agree. I
What
actually
about you?
did force myself to go watch Legacy again. And it
Okay.
was like a year ago that we did that, so not bad timing. Um, but yeah, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I definitely enjoyed when I saw it in theaters. There was just a few things that I needed to do a rewatch to kind of solidify my understanding of it, and yeah, it matched what I said before.
Nice.
So
Ned, it's one of the rare ones where we are in lockstep agreement.
yeah, that definitely does not happen too often. But
Sure
happy
doesn't.
you enjoyed it. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you talked me into, well, you didn't talk me into it. I'm glad you dragged me into this one.
yeah,
Because I don't know if I would have. I know it interests me. I just don't know if I would have went back and watched it. So
would you consider this
glad you
one
did.
for the rotation, like the whole set?
Yeah, I mean it's not gonna be a yearly rotation, but
Obviously,
I
yeah.
put it up there with, yeah, I'd put it up there with, like, because even like Lord of the Rings, I don't watch every year. Just because
Blasphemy.
it's, I mean, I could, because I love it so much, but I don't. But I could see this being like a every 3 to 5 years rewatch.
Okay,
Um,
nice.
so yeah,
All right. I will also be adding this to my rotation. It's probably one that I'd go back at least, I would say every 5 years or so, want to revisit it.
nice.
So, yeah. All right. So, you want to talk about next recommendations?
Yes, let's.
All right. I've been kind of itching. It's been far too long for me since I've last watched this movie. I'm pretty sure you've seen it before, but I want to watch it again. But it's Inception
Hmm.
from Christopher Nolan.
Yeah. Yep. I've seen it. It's been a long, long, long time. I know when it came out, my friends and I were super impressed with it and watched it
Oh
quite a
my
few times.
gosh. It was mind blowing to me to see this in theaters and walk out of the theater. I was like, what the hell was that?
Right. Yeah, it was almost a fever dream
Yeah,
of a film. So yeah, I'm excited to go back and revisit this. So
same. Yep.
good times.
Indeed. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode. Be sure to check us out on Threads and Facebook at To The Movies Pod. And we are also on YouTube, which is probably our preferred way of watching, at The Movies Pod. So thanks for joining me, Joe.
Bong.
All right.
Thanks for
Okay.
dragging me there, Ned.
Yeah, no problem. Bye, everybody.
Ba bong. Bong.
Okay. End of line.